10T is a question where it's important that we use all of our resources and knowledge to confirm or eliminate answer choices before we jump too quickly to the no change needs to be made. So the first thing I'm going to do with 10T, what change, if anything, it needs to be made in sentence 27, is to mark off 27 so I can focus on it. And I'm going to read it and see if anything jumps out at me in terms of apostrophes or strange spelling or strange grammar. As we began to open up to each other, I started to see how Caitlin and I were really a lot alike. So there's nothing that jumps out at me. There's no apostrophes. I don't see anything that draws my attention right away, so I have to consider every single option. Option A, delete the comma. As we begin to open up to each other, I started to see how Caitlin and I were really a lot alike. So if an option tells me or asks me to delete a comma, I'm going to look for a conjunction after it to see whether doing that would create a run-on. And I'm going to look at the beginning of the clause, and I'm going to see if there's a subordinating conjunction. And in this case, there is, the word as. So I know that this is a dependent clause, and when my sentence begins with a dependent clause, I need to have this comma right here before the independent clause starts. Otherwise, I would have a run-on sentence. So I know that option A is not going to be my answer. I need to have that comma there. Option B, change Caitlin and I to Caitlin and me. So I'm going to find that and reread this sentence and see what happens if I change that. As we began to open up to each other, I started to see how Caitlin and me were really a lot alike. Well, here's a grammar rule that I know. That word were is a verb. And if I have a verb, I need to have the word I. I can't use the word me. And the way I would test this is I would take out for a moment Caitlin and just read it with me. I started to see how me were really a lot alike. And that doesn't sound right at all. So I know that's not the answer. I need to have I, because I is the subject and me is an object. So I'm going to cross out B. Option C, change a lot to a lot. I don't necessarily have to go back to sentence 27 to make a decision here, but what happens is I think to myself before I check my resource, well, I've written this word a lot, and that's usually the way I write it, so that must be the correct way to do it. So I'm going to choose C on that one, except I haven't used my resource yet. And anytime there's a spelling or homophone type question, and this is a spelling question, I need to go in the dictionary and check it. And what I'll find is that A-L-O-T as one word is not in the dictionary, because the truth is, even though that's often how people spell a lot is two words. So I don't want to change a lot, which is two words, to one. This is an instance where after I've done the work of using my knowledge and checking my resources, I'm going to realize that the answer is D. No change needs to be made to this sentence. Now I want you to go to page 8 and answer 11S, and then check back after you've done that to see whether you've thought through it the same way I have.